A lot of people are suddenly coming to life right now over this new proposed regulation. I think it's only with the Department of Justice with Donald Trump. Sorry, I just took a shower, but Donald Trump just said that he would accede to calls to ban modifications, including bump stocks, which, and I have the article from the Dallas Morning News here. I don't know why I picked them, but might as well pick a city that there's a newspaper that I think would possibly give a balanced opinion on it. But in any case, this is a news article, so it says that just a few moments ago, I signed a memorandum directing the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, to propose the regulations to ban all devices that turn legal weapons into machine guns, Trump said, adding that he expects it to be finalized very soon. So the White the White House didn't address whether the thousands of bump stocks sold legally around the country would be confiscated under a ban. Gun stores reported an uptick in sales of the device in the days and months after the Las Vegas shooting. So this is the issue that I'm seeing here. Okay, first of all, until that regulation would go into place, yes, there's, just like with every mass shooting, there ends up being a massive spike in gun sales. In fact, during the first year of the Trump administration, for a long time, there was an actual dip in gun purchases. I'll look that up right now. But yeah, it said, this was from the Washington Times, gun purchase background checks fall from the record-breaking 2016. This was from, let me see here. Yeah. But in any case, I'm not trying to make this the longest video. There was just this there's just this reflex reaction every time there is a mass shooting, where people just decide, we're afraid that now the federal government is finally going to crack down on our favorite hobby or obsession, whatever you want to call it. So people do purchase more weapons and especially these quote unquote assault rifles. So the first issue is that it will be ineffective in the short term and could possibly spur copycats, just like the media frenzy over this has already. There's already probably I know in Ohio there was a kid who today tried to kill himself in his middle school with a firearm. So essentially, a lot of Trump supporters, the dedicated diehard Trump supporters, are saying, well, this is just smart strategy. He's moving to the center, and he's giving us a fair compromise here. And this is why I don't consider myself one of them. And I have to give credit to some of the anti-Trump people like Clay Spence, who's well known. He's more well known on Facebook and Twitter, who they've considered themselves never Trumpers, but not in the they're paleocons, I would say. They're not like Evan McMonkey, the guy who ran as an independent in 2016. There are people who say, well, Trump's commitment to many principles of personal liberties and, again, conservatism as they see it is very weak and is subject to change based on his need to earn approval from the public and earn he's a populist, and populism is not exactly something that respects personal liberties. So I have to agree with Spence and others like him on this. The Occupy Democrats logic group, and maybe there's larger groups but these are the people that I follow that talk about that. I don't know about you, and some of the more libertarian or conservatarian people here. When I say that this is absolutely a bad idea, and I'm not going to just let this go with Donald Trump. And there's a lot of people who would probably say, who may watch this channel and say, well, up until now, you never said anything negative against Trump. Is this like your attempt to appear, independent or whatever. No, that's not true. I mean, last year when he did the Syria assault, I said no. That was a horrible idea. I said it was the Tomahawk missiles on Syria. I said no. That's an awful idea. I said it's one of the worst ideas ever. There were other issues where I agreed with him, but I thought it was like completely, the Jerusalem issue where everybody was gushing about it. I said, you know what? To me, it's an entirely symbolic piece of nonsense. And there will continue to be areas where I think that either Trump is being completely wrong, or he is, betraying the ideas that he ran on, or the ideas that I would have supported. It's two different things. Where I'm gonna have to continue to say no. This is not what I voted for. That's kind of why I would have rather had Rand Paul run for president or be the president. I mean, I know he probably wouldn't have won the race because he's not the magnetic personality that Donald Trump is. The authorization of use of military force was another area where I thought Donald Trump was definitely overstepping his bounds. And many people, they're perfectly willing to go and support a move if they think it's smart electoral politics. There's plenty of people, Republican, Democrat, Trump supporter, Obama supporter, Hillary supporter. Look, Obama did a lot of things that were very smart politics at the time, and you see where the progressive movement is now, and you see what they're basically eating shit every day. They have states where the Democrats have absolute control of all the branches of government, such as California, and yet the state is in in complete disrepair. They can't get the what's it called, the universal health care that they want there, and they've basically been crowded out of any position of power. That's what happens when you play smart politics the way a lot of politicians do. And I'm not saying it's not smart politics. I'm saying I'm not going to support something just because it's smart politics. And the reason I think that it's actually a horrible idea on the part of Trump is that first of all, this bump stock issue was an issue during the Las Vegas shooting, which is something that is still shrouded in mystery. I didn't go too far into depth with that because, to be honest with you, I was also very busy, and also I think I was a little out of my depth on that one in terms of being able to get good information and accurate information. And I probably would have if I really would have committed to it. I still think that there are other people that are better at covering that than I do. But there's plenty of open questions about the motive, open questions about whether there was more than one shooter. There's and there's been a silencing of discussion about the Las Vegas shooting since probably a month after it happened. And then you get the added problem of the fact that why now ban bump stocks after a shooting where it was not involved. Okay, the idea that bump stocks or other mechanical modifications to these AR-15s or other assault rifles, as they're called, the cheap gain that you get from it is that if you implement if you implement the regulation, you can say that you made an attempt to save people's lives. If you don't implement the regulation and that there's a chance that somebody could buy one of these devices, a bump stock for their rifle, and then they commit a crime, then that's kind of on your hands. That's the political risk in this. But notice that first of all, there's people that are capable of fabricating these. Second of all, you're trusting the FBI, which already bungled this actual incident with the Parkland high school massacre. They bungled the detection of it. They had the evidence that they needed to detect this person. Their excuse for not finding out about this ahead of time, or at least questioning this person, is that they tried to search for him after getting the information from the Mississippi office and they didn't succeed. Well, they had a whole month. They had a whole month, and what more tools do they need? It's not like the FBI is getting flooded with information and tips of things like these happening. I'd say that we're at a point where if they really couldn't handle the workload, they could probably forward the tips to local police or state police or something. Why is it that now we're going to add more laws for them to enforce when they can't enforce the laws as they are competently? It's just not logical. Okay. And then the other reason that I think it's actually poor politics is that this whole debate is not really about the weapons themselves, because they always say these guns are dangerous and they shouldn't be in the hands of anybody but law enforcement or trained military or anything. Well, I'm trained military, so I'm actually fighting for the right for people besides me to have the same liberties that according to the rhetoric of these leftist gun control advocates, I would probably have that right. I had training in the military. It was a foreign military, but I had the training for 2.5 years. I would go and do training all the time, and on automatic weapons too. It wasn't it was the M16, but you get the point. So their whole proposition doesn't really affect me. But why do I say that this is not about the weapons for them? The idea is not to attack the object, because between you and me, we both know that Democrats are not afraid of assault weapons. Okay, they're not afraid of an inanimate object. It's ludicrous. They're not afraid of high voltage power lines, but they're all around the the country, and they're kept out of arm's reach, but they're still dangerous. Correct? So they're not, and birds fly into them, and they're a hazard and everything. So or they're maybe a bad example, but they're not afraid of volatile chemicals that people huff, right? They're not afraid of they're not afraid of the guns. Okay, even if they do pose a danger, even if they do think that there's logical regulations for them, just like with high voltage power lines. But what their goal is here has nothing to do with saving lives. It's in order to create this impression that those people that hold the right to bear arms to be an essential freedom in order to protect the original character of this country, those people have a backward way of life. They're harmful. They are they're retrograde, resistant and to change and everything. They're intolerant, and you can see in many of the memes that they share that, oh, this is not a mental illness problem. This is a mentally ill white people problem. As if they forget the Beltway sniper or the killers in Baton Rouge that killed those police officers, or the ones that killed those 5 police officers in Dallas. Those people who support guns, they are being demonized right now as basically supporters of murder. That's why they focus entirely on the NRA right now. They're putting people on TV all the time. This Emma Gonzalez and this there's plenty of, I'm not here to talk about what their motives now, which are also in question, but they're taking people as mascots out there to attack the NRA, which they say is this horrible lobbying organization. Well, if you want to talk about horrible lobbying organizations, what about Monsanto? What about the pharma lobby? What about there's so many lobbyist groups that these children would never protest against, because obviously if somebody overdoses on OxyContin, it doesn't become national news. If one person does, it's almost it's like a benign event for them. So to sum up, those people that are thinking of making a statement here against Donald Trump. I'm absolutely for it. I think it's really a problem when you have people say, well, it's great politics. He knows how to compromise with people. You know, now he just endorsed Mitt Romney or whatever. Good idea. You know, 4D chess or whatever. I don't care about 4D chess. I care about making the correct decision. I don't care about whether people like it or it causes votes to go this way or that. I mean, that's a consideration. But if you're doing something that's absolutely a bad idea just in order to get votes, then that's pretty much a Bush presidency again. So let me know what you think, whether you agree or disagree. Subscribe to me, share, and comment as to your heart's desire.